We are going way, way back to ancient Egypt, a civilization that was all about order, tradition, and the divine right to rule. But deep in its history, there's this incredible story of one king who looked at all that order and chose total chaos instead. See, there was this Pharaoh, a king named Pharaoh from way back in the Second Dynasty, and he made a choice so radical, so completely out there, that it should have gotten him erased from history. He did something no Egyptian king had ever dared to do before. He completely abandoned Horus, the falcon god, the divine protector of every single pharaoh, the very symbol of kingship itself, and instead, he chose to serve Horus's mortal enemy, the murderer, the god of chaos. He chose to serve Seth. Now, to really understand just how jaw-dropping this was, you have to get the cosmic battle that was at the very heart of Egyptian belief. This wasn't just, picking a different favorite god. This was like picking the other side in the fight for the soul of the entire universe. So on one side, you've got Horus. He's the falcon god of the sky. He represents order, light, and everything good and legitimate. And here's the key part. Every single pharaoh was considered the living, breathing Horus on earth. Their right to rule came straight from him, period. And on the other side, you've got Seth. He's the god of the harsh, barren desert, of violent storms, chaos, and everything foreign and unpredictable. Oh, and he's most famous for murdering his own brother Osiris, who just so happened to be Horus's dad. So yeah, for all intents and purposes, he's the villain of the story. Okay, so how did a king show who he was aligned with? Well, they used this symbol called the Seraph. It's this really powerful crest. Think of it like a royal logo. It has the king's name written inside a drawing of the palace, and right on top, perched like a guardian, is the patron god. And for centuries, I mean without a single exception, that god was Horus, the falcon. This symbol was basically a guarantee of stability. It screamed to the world, I am the rightful king, I am the embodiment of order, and I am protected by the great Horus. It was a rule set in stone. Until Seth-Peribsen, he takes this sacred royal crest, his official signature, and he ditches the divine falcon of Horus. In its place, he puts this strange, chaotic creature that represents Seth. He wasn't just changing a picture, he was publicly declaring his allegiance to chaos. But here's the twist. This might not have been an act of religious rebellion or madness. Historians have a pretty compelling theory that this was actually a cold, calculated political move in a kingdom that was literally tearing itself in two. I mean, that's the billion-dollar question, right? Why would a king, whose entire job is to uphold cosmic order, embrace the one God who exists to destroy it? Well, the answer might have less to do with faith and a lot more to do with war. The leading theory goes like this. Around Pharaoh's time, Egypt was likely in the grips of a civil war. The traditionalist north, they stuck with Horus, but a growing separatist movement in the south, where Pharaoh probably ruled, had adopted Seth as their patron god. So sticking Seth on top of his Seraph wasn't some spiritual crisis. It was a political statement. It was a declaration of independence. He was basically saying, I'm not the king of those Horus worshippers up north. I am the king of the south, and I am the king of Seth. A really bold, defiant power play. So, case closed, right? He was just a separatist king and a civil war. But if only history were that simple. Because there is a massive contradiction in the historical record that makes this whole story so much more mysterious. See, when a pharaoh was considered a traitor or a heretic, the Egyptians had a standard procedure. It was called damnatio memoriae, literally the damnation of memory. Their successors would go around and systematically chisel their names off of every monument, wipe them from official king lists, basically pretend they never even existed. It was the ultimate form of cancellation. So if Pharaoh was this great traitor who led a rebellion against the rightful Horus king, then why was he spared? Why wasn't his memory just completely wiped off the face of the earth? And that's the truly strange part. There's no evidence that this happened. His tomb was left alone, his name still appears on artifacts. The pharaohs who came after him, the ones who reunited Egypt back under Horus, they didn't treat him like a traitor. They actually preserved his memory, which makes zero sense if he was the enemy they had just defeated. So what we're left with is this profound paradox. Was this king who literally embraced chaos a heretic who almost destroyed his country? Or Was he something else entirely? You have to remember, for the Egyptians, a person's name wasn't just a label, it was a literal part of their soul, absolutely essential for surviving in the afterlife. And Pharaoh willingly tied his eternal soul to the one god that represented everything the king was supposed to fight against. So it really boils down to two completely different stories. Was he a traitor, a man who deepened the divisions in his kingdom by siding with the dark god? Or was he a political pragmatist, maybe even a savior, who made a tough, bold choice to stand with his people, and maybe, just maybe, paved the way for a more peaceful reunification later on? The honest-to-goodness truth about Pharaoh is still buried somewhere under the sands of Egypt. We can see the radical choice he made, but the real reasons why are still a total mystery. So it leaves us to wonder, was he a heretic who chose chaos, or a hero who did what he had to do to rule? What do you think?